So what year was it when you would have played your first game at this oval?
1971, 70, no, it'd be 67 or 68. Somewhere around that.
Yep.
My mother brought that thing down, that whole thing down with the truck. She was going to tennis practice, and the car wasn't available, so she decided to take the truck, and it had the high sides on it. She went through there and she looked up and she saw it coming down, so she put her foot down to get away from it, ripped the whole bloody thing down. Dad straightened it all up and had to rebuild the whole thing. They're all new bricks there in that photo.
We trained here sometimes and sometimes at the Varon Oval.
Which one's that?
Varon, which is, you wouldn't have come past it, but they would have been another club once, but we had people from Varon and people from here playing, so we trained there sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Varon's holding, one of them looks like a toilet, but I'll move around from here if I do. Varon had a club up to 1939 when they closed the war. And Varon didn't have a club after the war in 1945. They played with women there.
And what colours were Varon?
Varon, I believe, were blue and white.
Yeah.
I'll tell you here, actually.
I'd like to go up there and find the oval, but Peter tells me it's a bit tricky to find the Varon oval.
You can't miss it, really.
Oh, really?
I'll draw a mud map for you before you go.
I'll go and find it later on today.
Okay.
So once we actually joined Port, I think the only player from here that went and played senior football was Morris Smith, who went to Riedau, just because of where he lived, who is the father of Darren Smith. But nearly everyone else just stopped playing, but nearly all their children went to Port Neill. And when Port Neill had its premiership years, nearly all of those children were actually in those teams.
Yeah.
So you'd be one of those children?
Yeah, that's right. No, we had a pretty strong sort of cult side in the late 70s, I think, in there at Port Neill. On the A grade, we're all getting flogged, but then, as the wheel turns and...
That's where success comes from, of course.
Yeah, that's right. That was a bit of a nucleus of the side, and then when the committee got Stephen Horn to come and coach in 1984, that was sort of the start of, what we kindly refer to as the golden years for the Port Neill Footy Club, or from my era.
So you obviously played at premierships at Port Neill?
Yes.
Because they had a bit of a golden period.
We did. My first 3 years of A grade, we went 3.5 years without winning a game, though. But then when I was in my mid-20s, we hit a patch. A few players come in, and we always had a basis of a team. And once we got to win, we didn't like not winning.
Once you learn how, you didn't stop. Yeah. And Port Neill, did they keep the same colours when Warminda came in?
Yeah, Port Neill were black and white. So they stayed black and white, but actually when we won all our premierships, quite a big kerfuffle, we'd actually gone to brown and gold. Arna Bay were black and white as well, as Port Neill, so there was a bit of a push. I'm not sure where it came from, but it was voted.
Do you know where the push came from to change the colours?
Adrian, I think. He did a lot of work towards it.
I didn't know the president, I was secretary. Because we came from Warminda, we were virtually equal, and the club accepted that. But they were so diehards who didn't want to go black and white. We put brown and gold because they had all sorts of changes of colour. They wanted Neill white with black stripes, and they looked terrible.
Yeah, I remember changing colours. I remember Stephen Horn was the coach when we changed colours, and there was, like Peter was saying there before, there was a hell of a kerfuffle whenever you try and change colours in a club. All the old boys that you hadn't seen for ages come around to the meetings, but...
It was voted, pretty big meeting, to go brown and gold, and So all those premierships happened in brown and gold.
I heard there's a bit of a story about Adrian Masters going over to Melbourne and get the jumpers at the last minute or something.
Well, he was president at the time, so he'd come from here. My dad was secretary of the club at the time. So yeah, they did a lot of powerhouse organising, and Adrian hopped on a plane and because the jumpers weren't going to make it for the first game, and flew over and actually flew them back.
I played all my football was at Warminster. When Warminster closed down through lack of numbers, I don't know. I never ever played at Port Neill, but I was involved with the club, and the club decided that they had. They were a shocking Guernsey, a black thing with a bit of white on. They decided that, it was Port Neill, that they'd change to the same colour as, who's the club in Melbourne, Heather? Hawthorn. And anyway, one of the ladies rode away and got Guernseys, and they sent all long sleeve Guernseys back. Well, the men would not wear them. There was only one or two wanted them. So we didn't know what the hell to do. They'd come from Melbourne. So I packed them in a suitcase and booked my flight to Melbourne. Took them back. I had rang the company before. I rang them and went to the Hawthorn Football Club with the Guernseys and waited there, and somebody from the company that we came down, there was only one chap wanted a long sleeve Guernsey, but we thought we should get long sleeve for the mini Colts. So we kept the mini Colts Guernseys, and we traded in took back the two sets of Guernseys, all except one, I think it was.
When you flew over to pick them up, did you fly out of Port Lincoln?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah. It cost me about $700 or $800, I think.
Was that the first time you'd been to Melbourne?
Yeah, yeah. But from the airport, I just asked for a taxi to take me wherever I wanted to go.
Yep. And what was your impression of Melbourne?
Pardon?
What was your impression of Melbourne?
Fairly busy.
Fairly busy. Busier than Warminster.
I was younger then and more since then and had more brains then, I suppose. But I got a taxi from the airport to the Hawthorn Football Club. The Guernseys had to come from somewhere else, not the Hawthorn Football Club. But they did. It wasn't all that long, because we'd rang and had ordered them. They, I don't know whether somebody brought them down or whether a taxi brought them down, but they were in big boxes. I got a taxi back to the airport and flew home and flew to Adelaide, and I don't know, I think I flew back to Lincoln. But
and then Heather was waiting with, and the other ladies waiting with their sewing machines revved up.
Yeah, ready to go. I'd rang and told them.
From Melbourne.
Oh, from Melbourne.
Yeah.
So you got the call.
Yeah. I'm coming.
Ellen Will, I think.
Ellen Will. That's the one.
It was a very good dressmaker.
And she was the one that she told the girls exactly what.
Really? So she's a good stick.
Lovely lady, glamorous lady. Her or Mick Will, the other fellow played footy with, fullback. It's his mum, and she actually was a head seamstress at was it Fletcher Jones or one of those places after they left the farm and living in Adelaide. Yeah, beautiful lady, and and she would, well, put it this way. One of the sons got married. There were 4 boys and Uncle Jeff. she made all the suits for them, as well as, if I remember rightly, I think she made the bride's dress as well as the bridesmaids' dresses, I think. But yeah, no, she was just a beautiful, glamorous lady. Yeah.
Yeah, and very good with a sewing machine.
Oh, bloody hell, she was. And she would have had everyone lined up and said, right, this is how we do it, and away she would have gone.
Correct way.
He told the girls exactly what to, they all bring their sewing machines into the clubhouse at Port Neill. And
she had all the cotton ready.
I got back, that was on the Friday, and 4 teams took the field in Hawthorn colours on Saturday.
So what happened? You got the call, and then
I just said to the girls that they're all sort of hanging around. We were waiting for him to come back, wondering if he was ever going to. And I said, right, we've got to get the sewing machines here. So she set up the tables, this woman. She knew just how to set them up. She'd worked in a sewing place before. And she set them all up, and we all had cotton given to us, and that's what we had to thread our sewing machines with. And
this is before Adrian actually arrived back with the jumpers? So you had them threaded up, ready to go?
Ready to go, yeah.
But I had a list of
who they were,
yeah,
what size the
like
jumper,
size jumper, number, whatever. But the field, it was amazing the next day.
The mini-cocks came out in their little jumpers.
Four teams took the field in Hawthorn colours. High credit to the girls.
Ellen Will was the organiser, and she really did a good job, really great job, you know. She
You had about 10 ladies there, didn't you?
Eh?
You had about 10 of your sewing.
Oh, we had sewing machines on every table in the hall, the club rooms.
Club rooms. But
how many ladies were involved?
Would have been about 15. All sitting there, sewing. Nobody talked. Everyone just sewed. Yeah.
On the Friday they sewed them, and the team took 7. The club took the field with 4 sets of new Hawthorn Guernseys. And it was quite a thrill, and I think we won the premiership that year.
That was 1984.
And you won the premiership that year?
Yeah, 84, 86, 87, 88, wasn't it?
Right.
Yeah, that's the scrapbooks.
Oh, really? Well, can we have a look at the scrapbooks?
Yeah.
No, yeah.
That'd be terrific.
Coach Confident, is that you?
No, that's Arno Bay. So who was coaching that year? That would have been, yeah, Gary Davis.
Yep. And he's confident of beating your Port Neill team? Or?
This is very early in the piece. It's 84, so this is our first year I was down here. And we were pretty lucky because we'd got Stephen Horn. I don't know if you heard of Stephen Horn. His father actually was coaching up here in 1964, 63, 62. And Stephen represented EP, centre half back. And so he could... And I actually played footy with him down at Lincoln South back in 1980. And so I knew what Brute was like. And when I heard he was coaching here, I thought, wow, that's a nice plus. I was also lucky enough to get this Bruce Hines. And
Yep.
Hinesy, buddy, and probably heard Jeff and Kath and Peter, etc., talk about Hinesy, but ex-Norwood and pretty handy sort of a boy as well.
Yep.
But we also picked up the Lockwood boys from Tumby Bay. Those two. Who's the other one? Oh, Butch Kitson. He moved from Ungara. He bought a farm bought up here.
Yeah.
And then Big Pete Schillerbeer and Big Ruckman. It all just sort of fell into place at the right time in 84.
Because that was sort of the start of it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
And those blokes stuck around, or they simply taught everyone how to win?
Well, with Heinzie, he certainly stuck around. Horny, he coached up here the first year, and he went back to Lincoln South, coaching down there. Yeah. Heinzie took over the coaching role, and he just brought another element to the whole group as well.
Oh yeah, yep.
And, looking at all the names, I mean, Stephen Horn as coach was a Port Neill lad originally, and he'd gone to Lincoln, and we got him back. He was a very accomplished footballer and a great leader on the field, and he sort of took it to another level. He made people get serious about training. Like that 84 year, we trained twice a week all year, like right through seeding and everything, which was a little bit unheard of for us. And Horny had to drive down from Port Lincoln twice a week to take the training. But yeah, it certainly did make a big difference when you got serious about things.
Team effort to Port Neill. They won nearly all their matches in 1984.
Things sort of fell into place a little bit for us that year with, you know, guys like Rick Will moved into town. Horny obviously coaching, and Bruce Hines bought the shop at Port Neill, and made a huge difference, yeah. Just a little bit, yeah. Sometimes things just come together for you, don't they? And it did for us back then. There's Rick taking a screamer.
So he could play.
Yeah, very good footballer, Rick. Very skilled and very tough. Took no prisoners. He was fair dinkum when he was out there.
He was a tough bastard. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, no, he was a good footballer. Very hard and, yep.
You played with him?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. Apparently he's pretty hard, man.
Oh, he was tough, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I think they was all pretty hard. In fact, there was a coach apparently that...
Bruce Hines.
Was he?
Bruce Hines.
Ah, yeah. He's a bit famous, isn't he?
Yep.
Yeah, and he came in and sort of changed the culture.
He did. A lot of people, and that was before my time too, a lot of people say it was Stephen Horn that started it. And Bruce took it over.
Yeah.
But Bruce was a hard man.
Yeah.
But a lot of people give Stephen Horn a lot of credit.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Because of course Port Neill had gone through a period of, well, almost, I think they went years without a win, according to Peter Prime.
Yes.
Before your time, I guess, but you know, then it's a big mental change, isn't it, to go from that sort of attitude to a winning.
It is, yeah.
Culture.
That's what Bruce did. Yep. It was very much discipline.
Yeah.
He was a hard coach, but he got the best out of a lot of players.
Yeah. What was his approach, and what did he used to say?
He was the hard man himself.
Go on, Blake, say it.
Hard, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
probably hard off the ball too, but anyway,
he was pretty hard off the ball. Yeah. Yeah. It was a take no prisoners thing. Yeah.
I can't believe none of them have brought that Guernsey up.
Before 84. Well,
I fucking should ring Dad right now.
What Guernsey?
Can't believe none of them have said about ripping that Cleve Guernsey to shreds.
Ah, tell me about that.
Yeah, well, so the story goes, it's before the Grandy, and Bruce Hines has somehow acquired a Cleve Guernsey and thrown it into the middle of them, and they've just fucking ripped it to shreds.
And it worked.
Yeah, they mauled them.
Yeah, we were probably a bit of a nice side before '84. Well, maybe not. That's probably not quite right, but
Is that right?
I don't know about that one, but I know someone hit him one day. Russell Jolly was the umpire, and he knew there'd be some retaliation.
Yeah.
So he was watching. This bloke went down and said, Russell didn't see it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it.
Yeah. It certainly can be done.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say he was a dirty footballer.
Yeah.
But he was pretty freaking
A hard man.
Yeah.
Fair.
Sometimes.
But certainly he demanded and he got respect.
Oh yeah, he really had respect, yeah.
From the opposition, of course, and that's what he wanted his team to get, I guess, was respected.
And he had respect within the team too, like he set the example.
Yeah.
you know, guys like Hines, he sort of brought that bit of mongrel into the side, which is what you need. Yeah, I suppose grand final was our first one, and Peak did have a reputation, like Dark Peak had a reputation of winning grand finals. They'd had a pretty good run, and we'd never won one, but then we'd lost, you know, hadn't won a lot of games previous to that, or previous to '84, I suppose even. But
we were lucky enough that, as I said, with the recruits that we'd had, we got going pretty well early in the piece, and from that we got to the middle of the year, and shock and horror, we actually got beaten by one of the opposition clubs. I think was that Dark Peak, the first one. Yeah, it's when Dark Peak beat us. And then the following week we got beaten by Rudow, I reckon you'll find, if I remember rightly. And that didn't go down that well with the boss, that's for sure.
Your memory's pretty good, I think.
Yep.
By 4 points.
Yeah. And then I'm not sure if we didn't get beaten by Cleve in the third game. I reckon we lost 3 on the trot.
maybe, I don't know, maybe it's the games you had to lose.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Peter kicked his ton.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's middle of the year, and this is when, look at our side, and there's probably 6 or 8 of us were shearers, and getting off tractors and everything else as well, and pretty leg weary, leg heavy I should say.
Yep.
And from there, yeah, we got a bit more energy, got things going again, and from that we came up against Arno Bay, and Arno, I think we gave him a fair old buddy touch-up, if I remember rightly.
34 goals, 21 to 11-4, yeah.
And then from that, we were up and going again.
Or in fact, P Prime, 15 goals.
Yep, and unforgettable day for Peter.
Ah.
Yeah, I reckon that the year he kicked his first 100. I remember right.
104 goals in 12 games.
Yeah, yep. Well, there goes Prime cracks a ton.
Yeah, Peter was full forward. I kicked quite a few goals.
Yeah, no, Peter was very, very strong in front, very accurate, very strong through the legs, the hips, never get knocked over, always keep his feet. Yeah. Pretty much all the Prime boys like that.
Yeah.
You know, those boys just developed in a matter of 2 or 3 years into exceptional footballers actually. And
Pete Prime still.
Yeah, Pete was still buddy kicking goals. Pete was never a huge kick like Chris. You know, you get him 40 metres out in the biggest distance, but you know, you try and move him, and you know, Peter's a big man now, but back in his day, all the Prime boys got legs on like stone cold.
That's correct, right?
And so you know, they were bloody hard to move. And Pete at full forward, you know, you'd get on a one-on-one, and you just they'd try and move him, and you just bang.
He reminds me of Dunstall. Just solid, sturdy, accurate. Just fucking, yeah.
Off the field, fairly quiet sort of a guy, but once they cross that white line, you know, if you're in between him and the ball, you're in a bit of trouble, really.
His brother was probably a little bit better player, and he's still coaching mini colts here, I think.
Kelly pushed the ball forward. Hamilton, a good defender last week and playing a pretty handy game today. Now it's McIntosh. What can he do? The champ goes wide. Prime. Prime's got it. Dirty out with the breeze.
What a beautiful kick from Macca. Oh, he had a look, and Prime had led to the absolute perfect spot. It was useless going to the other side. Macca on the left foot, running with the advantage, and just looked away, and Prime put himself in the ideal spot.
3 goals, 2 and 1 out of bounds on the full. Make that 4. The big fellow pops it through. They advance now to 4 goals, 4-28. Trailing Glenelg 6-5-41. We're 17 minutes into the second term.
We've seen a lot of Chris Prime this year, and he has been excellent. Is he good enough to play AFL footy? Well, I would say that no, not at this early stage. I don't think perhaps he would. He's strong enough, but I doubt that he's perhaps tall enough really to hold down a consistent position in AFL football. Beg your pardon? There's been some of the talk that he's worthy of it. Well, perhaps so, but then there's a lot of players in that category too. But no, not at this stage. I don't think he would be.
Love to see him have a go, Nipper.
So would I,
But when he played for us, Chris just regularly is being sent off. I don't know why.
Ball is pretty tough. It's all a bit of show out there, but it's going to cost the Redlegs 50.
Have a look at this.
That'd be a nice conversation too.
He's not reciting poetry, Neville.
But he got sick of it, so he moved here to Tumby Bay and won the male medal first year.
When he was in his 30s, I think, well into his 30s.
Yeah, I was just going to say that the crying shame about with Crispy is that, you know, as we lost players from up here, moved away, etc., and more got put on his shoulders as well, and then of course when that was happening, opposition was just belting him behind the ear and things like that, and I don't want to be derogatory against umpires or anything, but it wasn't looked after. And so in the end he'd snap and lose his bloody temper, and you know he could have done some bloody major damage. And you know.
So at times it was self-inflicted.
Only at times.
At times. There were a few umpires that I had obviously rubbed up the wrong way through time.
At least one that you hated and they hated.
Yeah, that was due to cricket though. Yeah, I think I gave him a send off at cricket, and Gabbo was keeping, and Pete Forrest was in first slip, and they were just cacking themselves, and then they thought, well, maybe we've gone a little bit far, but yeah, no. Vanby and I, there was no love lost there, and I used to win on the cricket field, and they used to just roll me up on the footy field. And I shouldn't say this, they were the days when umpire would give the all clear, they'd go to the thing, and they'd always run backwards. Great thing about being full forward, you kick your goal, you turn around, you clap your teammates. You do it right behind the umpire, they're going to go straight into you. So you can make contact with them without doing a thing. So some of it was very much self-inflicted. But yeah, there was a little bit of white line fever.
You remember that trip to, I think it was Kimber? You must have got a ride up with me and the old man. And on the way up, my dad, he's saying, now, Chris, you've just got to make sure you do the right thing today. You control your temper. Yep, no worries, no worries.
Don't get
reported. What happens? It gets reported. So there's an interesting trip home from Kimber.
Was that the flashing light in the boot one?
Yeah, I think it was the same day.
Oh yeah. Rudow is the one that gets me. The Evans boys. Mick Evans grabbed hold of me right in front of our coach's box. He had my arms pinned, and his younger brother come up and punched me right in the nose. The umpire was standing, who was a policeman, standing about 10 metres away. And I looked at him, and he was just smiling. And the bloke who punched me when his brother let go took off through the rail.
Like, no shit, hit and run. Like, it's just like it's a tractor. You hit a tractor, you're going to run, but yep, give Crispy a clip around the ears. Crispy turn around, fucking, he's off, over the field, gone. Run off the field, yeah.
So what happened? Let's see.
Around the back of the club rooms and come in by their coach's box.
Oh, I've never seen anything like that. He just, boom, jumped the rail and ran away. Chris started chasing him.
And the umpire 50 metres away sent you off because you were going to retaliate.
Yeah, I copped a little bit, but yeah, and I said to that umpire later, I said, well, if I'd punched him, you would have reported me. And he goes, yes. And I said, well, why didn't you report him? You're big enough to look after yourself. So, it went both ways. Like, yeah, I gave it out, but I was copping it with no protection. So. It was detrimental to my football and changing clubs. I was a little bit quieter when I got to Tumby, but yeah, it was just that a change was a free.
Took the load off because there was sort of you and me carrying and Andrew carrying most of, well, don't want to sound like a big head, but we're carrying a fair bit of the weight of the team. There's a lot of young kids playing and at the time, and then so you go to Tumby when suddenly it's coming lace out and you don't have to work your guts off and you're not copping it from everyone else. Because he did get a fair bit of attention from other teams because they knew, oh, if we can fire him up and get him to do something silly, well, then it's going to be advantageous to us.
So my first year at Tumby, the assistant coach at Ramblers was from Cleve, and his tactic to his fullback was just punch him. Because that worked at Cleve. Problem was, when the ball's coming in 6 or 7 times, 10 times a quarter, you can punch me because I'm going to get the next one. And so it didn't work. It was a whole different attitude.
Yeah.
When he got to Tumby, he had a very good centre line.
Oh, he had Curtis.
Yep. But Hunty was there as well, I think. He's pretty good too. And fucking, they'd just feed him. It's like a fucking big pelican there, just gulping him up. And he can kick straight. So he got it. That's it. Show over.
And you'll see all of the highlights in the football show coming up at 5:30. Here's Irvin from the far side, left half forward, good kick. Oh, what a strong mark that was, taken down there by Prime in the middle of 2 or 3 players, and he has taken a big grab.
I was involved in coaching Tumby with Richard Horgan from 2006 to 2009. Tumby had a really strong period then. It was when Chris Prime came to the club, and Michael Curtis come home from his a career at Sturt, and they were probably 2 of the better players I've ever seen play. I mean,
150 goals in his first year.
Oh, he was freakish. He was just a gun, Primey. And I mean, I remember when he came to the club and we were sitting there, Richard Horgan and myself, and Hog said to me, he said, I reckon if we can get 40 or 50 goals out of this guy, it's just going to be something we haven't the club hadn't had, you know, and then he comes out and kicks 156 and wins the male medal, 14 in the grand final. But he was a star, Primey. I mean,
And will it make it? I suspect not. Hedge your bets until the last moment. Scott Burns gets it over the top to David Burns, his namesake, but a different spelling. Thumps it towards the goals, and typically it's offline. This is O'Leary, as Mark mentioned, has stayed in that forward pocket. Fleming over the top to Prime. Prime walks into an open goal, and a belated third for the big chunky full forward.
Big
Norwood
pumper.
get there eighth.
Sorry, Stephen. Big pumper, they call him out of the parade. And that's his 100th goal for Norwood, and after a great debut year last year. A bit slower this year, be a bit disappointed in his form at the moment, and so with the Norwood Football Club at this stage.
What do they call him?
Big pumper.
Could you explain that?
Well, I can't actually, Mark, because at training he wears big, I think it's a green Guernsey with big pumper written over it, so we'd have to ask someone out at the club.
Yeah, I just wonder what that means.
I think the thing I loved about him too, just he was such a skillful player. I don't think people realised how skillful he was. I mean, big man obviously, but he certainly, it took Tumby a while to understand that you couldn't bomb the ball in, because he, you know, I think by his own admission he's not a leaper or anything like that, but his ability, if he got in a one-on-one contest on the run, you know, people couldn't get around him. And I remember a day he kicked 12 here against Ramblers, and it was, you know, Tumby and Ramblers have got a pretty strong sort of rivalry, I guess, that's been built over a number of years, and he kicked 12 here on Tumby Oval, 12 out of 17, and, you know, had some good players standing to him. I mean, Simon Pedler was still a gun player then, and, you know, they threw everything at him, and it was just almost that little turning point, I think. That's where Tumby sort of thought, well, you know, we're on here, and
Chris is probably the guy that, to me, is the country footballer and all the ones that I've seen that could have the biggest influence on the game. Yeah, you can just turn the game on its head.
But he's a big bloke.
A very big bloke.
And he'd be twice, 3 times your size.
Gave it away, Russell. Davey, nice little piece of work. Cowan puts the foot on the accelerator but can't quite get past. Working back is McKinnon. This is Irvin around the body. It's a long kick, it's a high kick. Prime, beautiful use of the body, snaps at goals, and he's got his third. Norwood get their sixth, they're 6-8. West Adelaide are 4-12, and we're inside half a minute into the last quarter.
Well, that was quite spectacular play by this big full forward. Have a look at this. Have a look how well he traps it. It was quite extraordinary. There's Irvin's kick. Look at this. Bang. Perfect bounce for him, but he just trapped it so well. And he was directly in front and banged it through. Third goal, and what a critical one.
I reckon last year he played here, they made him vice-captain, I reckon, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, he was a bit of a hit over there, I think.
Central's defence has been very, very good. Back with Hyde. The further this game's gone, the more impact he's had. Great mark by Prime. Just every now and again, he does something special. Doesn't he use his fair share of lycra as well? That's a big frame.
But I think he was only about 25 or something when he went to Norwood. Yeah. Went over there and kicked 185 goals. Only started at 25, 26.
That's right, yeah.
Played 3 years, kicked 185. And thanks very much. I've done my league footy. I'll go home now.
Way he goes. But yeah, no, in Tasman, he had a great year or whatever.
He kicked 90, I think, that year.
Yeah.
When you were there. And then he kicked 110 the year after.
Yeah.
You remember that day out at Stanford when they were playing Lincoln South and Robert Giacomo was playing Lincoln South? And he came out and kicked 14 and Prime kicked 9 that day. Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's amazing forwards.
Oh,
Jack Amara was, yeah.
And he was incredible.
He didn't look like a footballer, but he was.
I reckon the saddest day, I can still remember Chris Prime telling me he's going to Tumby Bay. He told me in the Port Neill pub I was crushed.
Again, I just find it a crying shame that he left up here under the cloud that he did, went down to Tumby Bay, but he absolutely has slaughtered it down.
One-on-one, he was unbeatable, really. Like you said, all that, you know, looking that way and one-handed stuff and mark over here, and then such a beautiful kick. Anywhere, you know, 50 plus metres, you'd pretty much put it down for a goal every time.
Great way.
Yeah.
Oh, come on!
So that's Gav Masters, I think. That'd be Heinzie, I think.
And that's Heinzie.
He handballs to...
Definitely Heinzie.
He handballs to Chris Prime.
A young Chris, isn't it?
16.
Definitely Chris. Yeah, that's definitely Chris.
Yeah. And yeah, the 3 Primes, they're all goal kickers. Some people are great footballers, but they're not goal kickers. The Primes, the whole 3 of them were goal kickers. They knew where they were, and they're very accurate.
Andy Prime could actually play.
Great player. Awesome player. It's that lazy little left foot. Never missed. You'd never think he'd get to the ball, but he was just always in the right spot.
The A-grade votes had also been pre-counted, and best and fairest with 17 votes was Andrew Prime.
Yeah, he's a second son.
Younger brother Chris was named best utility player, and older brother Peter won the Dick Kuzner Memorial Goal Kicking Trophy for the 13th time. For the 13th time.
Yeah.
Best and fairest runner-up with 16 votes was Gavin Masters.
That's David's son.
Really, and another Masters, another Warminder man.
Yeah.
Most consistent was Butch Kitson. Best placed man was Mick Will. Most improved was John Masters, another son.
Yes, brother to Gavin.
And best team man was David Head. Jeff Prime then gave a brief football history of the club before he and Kath presented each team member with a premiership medallion. Which is what you want.
That's why we kept the books. Yeah. Our son played all those games.
Yep.
What year's that? Oh, goodness me. They've got everything.
I started this because I had 3 boys playing in it. Chris was only 14 at that time, but 1988 they were all in it.
And they featured fairly prominently.
Yeah. The Port Camp rallied as the second quarter commenced with Andrew Prime best on the ground, roving to perfection, setting up many opportunities for his team. Andrew sort of doesn't get many accolades with Chris, and because he played centre or in the centre of the ground.
just a bloody sensational time. And I think that's why everyone looks back on these sort of years, and our wives hate it because we keep calling them the golden years, because that's what they were. They're just sensational years. And
Turns. His son's playing for us now.
Oh yeah.
That's young Jake Turner. You'll probably see him tomorrow, number 28. He's a superstar. The same thing as his old. You see his old man. I think number 15 in some of those ones. He's the same age as me. One or the other. Yeah, Jake. What he's in. Yeah, 14's Rick. Yeah, I reckon 15 was Scott Turner. But yeah, Jake's even more so. The same sort of rangy player, just fast and under the ball.
Wolford now gets the hand. Oh, he wasn't expecting it, Racker wasn't, but he breaks clear. Gets the ball over to Wycamp. Wycamp now looks for Clements. He can't take it. Xavier Watson drops a mark. Sid Masters gets it on his wrong foot, looks short. Kenny picks up the ball, gets rid of the handball. Intercepted by Great Flinders. He's tackled. He's gone. That's holding the ball umpire. What a great tackle. Jake Turner, 16-year-old. Was a great. Now is he a left footer? I think.
Yes, he is.
So he's on the right, on his right side here, to put a very, very important goal on the board for Eastern Air, mate.
And that was a very important tackle for a young fella, only 16 years of age, and he just grabbed him, wasn't going to let him go, and we'll see how he goes now. He'd be 20 metres out, and he comes in on the left.
Oh, that's a lovely
that's
kick.
Straight through the middle.
Beautiful kick. And that's definitely a contender of the EP Surf goal of the day. That was a great tackle, and it puts the Eastern Air side back in front. They now lead 3-5, 23 to Great Flinders, 3-4, 22 on the Boat Supplies scoreboard.
I said before, the people that have been in this club over the years. I moved down here in '84 and I married a local girl, and the that community was there. I mean, I keep talking about Sojourner and how close a community that used to be and everything else as well. But here, I think it's even more predominant in that regard. And when something was on, everyone just holds bolus. And even to this day, the club's a lot smaller, but need a working bee. And like I said, came down here the idea of pulling marshmallows because they'd just grown that bloody big. Peter had been watering the bloody oval so it was easy to pull the bloody things out. And he probably didn't tell you these sort of things, but he was coming in every 8 hours from the farm to bloody move the bloody sprinkler or to bloody get it going again. And I said the other day, Peter, I live here, just let me know. He said, oh yeah, I've got John Sully's number as well. But anyway.
But it needed doing, so he just did it.
And so he advertised we wanted a working bee, and there would have been 25, 30, even a few young kids out as well. And we were out there for probably 3-4 hours and pulled a heap. But that's just what they do here. It is. It's a great community, and that's why I suppose I'm very loath to see things disband as far as the your local footy league and things like that as well. So. This bloke here,
is that Chris?
Bruce Hines.
Bruce Hines,
tough,
is it?
Tough, resilient. And you had Stephen Horn across half back, and had this bloke in the middle, and hard as nails, and without being dirty. And a lot of blokes reckon, buddy, Hines is just a dirty mongrel bastard, but he wore a lot, he took a lot. And he wasn't afraid to give a bit back. And so when he came in, we must have been Dart Peak in the second semi. I know. No, Cleve. So beat Cleve in the second semi. Dart Peak cleaned Cleve up in the prelim, and we played Dart Peak at Cleve in the Grandy, and won. But again, we're really lucky to have all those sort of blokes like Horny, Hinesy, Big Pete Shillabeer, the Lockwood boys, etc. It was a very combined unit. And then Hinesy the next year took over the role as coach, and Hinesy's words were, no one remembers who comes second. And that got embedded in us that bloody much. That even now we always used to say, what Heinz used to say, and no one remembers who comes second. And it resonates through all of us actually. That's 88. This must be 86.
These are amazing. They're comprehensive, aren't they?
Oh, they are. I just love looking through these. 85. We were. Actually,
I might just grab another camera and point it at the page. So what are we looking at?
85 is first bloody 2 or 3 games we played in 85. We'd under Heinz, he worked us bloody hard pre-season, and we got off to a bit of a slow start, maybe a bit of a premiership hangover, whatever you want to call it. But we took a little bit to get going that year, and then.
So he told you about it?
Oh yeah. That's the Heinzy way for sure.
I remember the prelim final. I was only 15. Bruce Heinz had told us all day not to kick the ball back through the middle. And I reckon it was third quarter, I was on a half-back flank, picked it up, thought, yep, there's turns, I'll hit him up. And I went back through the middle. Brian Ramsey marked, I went down and kicked a goal. Heinz gave me a serve right there and then for going back through the middle. And I thought, yep, cool, done with. Got back into it 3/4 time into the huddle. As you said, there's a couple of thousand people there, so the huddle's quite a big crowd. And he has just ripped me a new one. I wasn't going getting the ball back near the middle for the rest of the day.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learnt, and since then I've been pretty much,
That seems like you remember it.
Oh yeah, no, fairly clearly.
But again, no, he really instilled stuff into us that even when you're left footy, in your day-to-day life, it sort of still carries on in different forms and fashions. But so 85, we got up and going. And
well, certainly this headline back here sort of sums up how you started. Cleve easily wins forgettable game.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't turn up quite that day.
No, we were a bit flat. A couple of those games. I mean, Cleve beat us, Dart Peak beat us in those first couple of games. Dart Peak, the very first game, actually gave us quite a touch-up.
Yeah, there was a bit of payback for the grand final.
Oh yeah, I'd say so. Yeah. But, and then the following week, Cleve came out and gave us a bit of a bloody touch-up as well.
By 5.5 goals. So.
Yeah.
Touch-up.
Considering
there's a Clements in there. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, you're right. Look, we also had. I reckon that's the first year Dave Fowler came along too. Chuck Fowler from down Ungara, and he was a gun. He was quick, hard. Not necessarily hard, but if you get near him, But if you got in his way, he could go straight through you.
David Fowler, he played a real lot of centre in there. He was just so bloody fast. I can remember we'd have sprints. We'd usually finish off training with sprints. You'd start on your stomach, lying down, and line of us 6 all lined up and go, and everyone sprint from one side of the square to the other, and no one could ever catch Chuck.
You know he was only going 3/4.
Yeah, he just blew everyone away.
He's a sub 10 second sprinter.
Yeah, he could turn it on when he wanted to, but most of the time, 3/4 was fast enough to blow anyone out of the water. So.
We're also getting a couple of young blokes like John Masters starting to play a bit of footy. Not sure if Chris Prime, no, Chris was a year after, I reckon, 88. And so, 86, sorry. But yeah, got away with a couple of games early in the piece, a couple of good wins.
Starting to come good here. Well, of course, Arno Bay were probably not travelling real well at that point, but what about the week after? Oh, there you go, Dark Peak in the return game by 2 points.
Yeah, she was a close one. And then Cleve the week after that, where did we go there? They got us again.
They did too, fairly easily.
Yeah. there, and then we had some big wins in amongst it. Again, poor old buddy Arno and Rudau, etc., took some bit of heat from us. But the 85 was one of these years we actually got ourselves up and going. We had a few injuries through the year, and then from that got to. I'm just trying to think. I reckon we played Dark Peak in a prelim final, if I remember rightly, and we were going okay, and then got to the grand final, and Gav Masters, who normally plays centre half back, he actually ended up breaking a bone in his ankle, and but kept playing.
Yeah, here we go with David Fowler, restricted after straining. A driver muscle at training, Rick Will, shoulder and flu, David head flu, Bruce Hines, concussed, Freeman unfit, and then it says, I broke my ankle just before half time, but come back on for the rest of the game, but wasn't any use. So yeah, that was we just had a bit of bad luck that year, we'll say, in 1985.
But you came back on?
Came back. Oh yeah, because we were that, we're in all sorts of trouble with injuries, and so they just sat me in the forward pocket, but they didn't do a hell of a lot.
Just say that. You kicked the goal, didn't you? It said?
No, I don't know about that.
Well, I think that's right.
It says there, though.
I was reading it over your shoulder, sorry.
No.
Okay.
No, anyway, just...
That was back in the day when a broken bone wasn't going to stop you.
That's right, yeah.
Big Gav went all right, didn't he?
I remember I've watched a lot of Gav play, you just see this flash of red and then these big baseball mitts go up and he'd just pluck them every time. He'd just pluck them. I know, he used to take me to cricket. I was playing A grade with him. I hadn't been bloody, we'd have our compulsory few beers on the way home and he'd drop me off in the ute and fucking back to the old farmhouse, and I'd get out a bit bloody fuzzy all the time. It was good. He's a legend.
Bloke, of course, he played footy with.
Yeah, he's strong. They talk about John Humphreys and how good he was at centre half forward. Gav's been the bloke that I've watched time and time again over the years, but who could beat him? And just because of his strength, and without trying to outmark him or anything, it was just get the ball on the ground. Because John was great in the air, he wasn't as good on the ground. Gav, you could play him centre half forward, centre half back. He's a tough old soul, Gav. No, good mate of mine, real good mate. But funny thing was I moved down to Great Flinders, and the very next year, and we're playing association footy or Mortlock Shield, and Gav was centre half back and I was centre half forward.
How'd you go?
I think Gav got the better of me, if I remember rightly.
Well, the Masters, they always go all right, don't they?
Oh, they do. They're very, very tough customers.
No, that's right. That was Hinesy's first year as coach. He'd played in the 84, premiership, and then in 85, Horney left, Stephen Horn, and Hinesy took on the coaching. And he really installed a mental toughness into the team. Like, he'd had a lot of time at Norwood, and he was a real hard nut, Hinesy. He was very skilled, great footballer, but he was a real hard nut, and he knew how to win. He sort of taught us how to intimidate the other teams quite a bit, and you just got that way that you knew you could beat them. We'd psych them out of it before the game even started. Really, you could see the confidence that he could build in the group. You'd go through certain things in the change rooms and make sure they could hear you next door well and truly, and do the same thing out on the oval. And he was a master tactician as well, Hinesy. But he installed the toughness. I think he He lost 85, he won 86 and 87 as coach, and then Rick Will took it on in 88, and he sort of continued on with Heinz's pretty tough mental approach. Rick was pretty tough as well, and yeah, they were very good mentors, those three coaches. Not to say that they didn't have something to work with beforehand, you know, the guys that had been there had sort of been building up gradually, but they just came along at the right time and
expected a bit more of it.
Yeah, yeah. I think most people you would talk to in my era, like Peter Prime or any of his brothers, would tell you that probably Bruce Hines was the one that really instilled the how to win into us. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the prelim final score there. So we only just got over the top of Dart Peak.
Yep. Yeah, scores deadlocked at halftime, or 1 point the difference.
Big gav there, I reckon, if I remember rightly. And yeah, so we got ourselves in the grand final.
Yep.
And from that, yeah, we just one of those days we just couldn't finish it off. So, but, like Heinze says, no one remember who comes second.
So you've forgotten that one already?
Pretty much, yeah. We'll skip on to 86. It's another. Again, Heinze is back on the reins, but he taking on, and again we picked up another couple of boys, handy players. David Head, again, a very solid, just on baller type thing.
Where was he from?
He coached out at Rudow, I reckon, the year before, was it?
I reckon he went to Rudow for a year, and he's from Warminda, so
yeah, we're local lad, my next door neighbour. So.
Butch Kitson. Hetty must have left that year, I reckon. Kieran Masters. Yeah, Kim Shepherd. But yeah, again, got over the top of Cleve, Dart Peak. We were this year, 86, I think, was probably one of our more telling years. When we won big. And yeah, we had some fairly crucial sort of games in amongst it. Same thing again. I reckon we got through mid-year, and I reckon we lost a couple of games mid-year. And from that, yeah, again, when everyone started shearing and all those sort of things, and getting on tractors, off tractors, yeah, it just took a bit of a fair old toll. There was that peak at Rudow. Yeah, that's right. But
they beat you in the the major semi, or
second semi.
Yep.
Yep. So then we came up against Cleve in the, I reckon that was down at, where was that cow? Prelim final.
2,000 odd spectators.
Geez, buddy, good years those.
For a prelim.
Prelim final, yeah. But we gave, again, was it that game or was it another one? Heinze, as I said, he's tough, but this one bloke had a bit of a crack at him, and anyway, Heinze turned around and this bloke's buddy standing up to Heinze, and Heinze just scratched onto his nose, just like this, and just took him down to his knees, and he said, "Oh," like this, and Heinze just turned around to the umpire and said, "You saw him, didn't you?" Was it Philip Lighthouse, I reckon, from Far West? "You saw him, Philip. It came out at me like a mad dog." He said, "Yes, Bruce, it's your free. Thank you." let his nose go, came back, had his kick. Oh, it was.
Umpires
yeah.
A bit more real too, yeah.
Old Heinzie, he's one of the first ones I saw do the old buddy, the old...
Don't argue.
Don't argue. And it was just a quick slap in the chest and bang, and old Kurt would be out here on the wing, but he receiving a handball, and he was good, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Heinzie used to be as a schoolboy, he was a Golden Gloves state champ. So, yeah. He used to wear these glasses just for protection of his eyes because he had a bad eye injury before he came to Port Neill. And yeah, this one particular day, I won't mention any names, a bloke from Arna Bay, as it turned out, had a bit of a go at him and knocked his glasses off and that. And there was a very quick little movement and that bloke had finished his day.
So yeah, he got to the grand final in about 86 and cleaned up Dart Peak.
And stormed home.
17-14 to 7-8.
Errol Duke, is that a pen name or a real bloke?
That's a real bloke. Errol used to work in the State Bank.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, he loved us.
And he was Mr. Football model.
Yeah, he got right in amongst it actually while he was here. But no, again, that was a great year. Again, we were, I suppose, always going to be tough to beat, but I just considered that, you know, with the blokes that we didn't lose anyone from the previous year, and you know, with a couple of injuries, and we picked up another one or two blokes. Just trying to think, lost Hetty, but we a couple of young blokes like Brenton Solly came up from Tumby Bay, and there's John Masters, Crispy Prime, they sort of came into it.
Yep.
We were lucky, like Andy Prime, like he was left footer, very, very good bloody user of the ball.
Great centreman, apparently.
Yep, very good centreman. We were lucky. Our on-ballers, I considered to be probably the best in the association for all those years. In Andy Prime, Michael Perkins, Heinzie, then you throw in like Brad Davies on a wing, a couple others. But at half back line, again, you know, it was bloody just run all day and just didn't concede bugger all. Mick Will, cousin Mick, he played full back. He would just run hard at the boys, 6'2" or something, and you know, pretty mobile, good left footer. Just trying to think. David Fowler, he's the other bloke I was thinking about in the centre. He was just go, go, go.
It's not like they were playing for big money up here at the time?
No money at that time of the year, those years. I got offered $100 a game to go down and play for Tumby Bay.
Yep.
One of these years. I think it might have been 86 actually.
Yep.
But
because there was a little bit of money around Great Flinders at that time.
Yeah, it was just enough to sort of encourage a few to have a bit of a dip at it, I suppose. But 87's not there.
Our son Peter was in a team.
Pardon?
Our son Peter was in a team, and the scores were level, and it was the end of coming up. So he marked the ball. It was a fair way out. Somebody yelled out to him, "Kick the goal, Pete," and he turned around and kicked it straight through the middle.
Wow. No, that was at Rudell.
Yeah, I can still see him standing there and sort of, what do I do?
I disagree. I reckon that was a Dark Peak. Pretty certain, yeah.
20 written on the
And he used to always play in the half back line, and he found himself at half forward about, there wasn't a 50 at the time, and took the mark and drilled it in the last quarter. I don't know about scores being levels, but it certainly helped the situation.
And Peter was only...
He was only just, it's his first year.
About his first or second year he played.
It was his first year.
And
all the Port Neill people standing around him, Peter, just kick the goal.
He did.
Peter was,
Terrific. I think that was the year that Rick Will, he had, must have got cleaned up and stuffed his shoulder up, but still went on and took marks, and he just could kick one around the body from miles out to put us out. And Rick was bloody tough too, because pain didn't mean anything to him. He'd just still get out there and go and do what was required. You weren't going to go off because your shoulder was a bit sore in a grand final. No, he was a bloody hard man too.
This one, 1988. This was a big year.
What was big about it?
Well, I don't think they lost a game, and they were clearly the best team. Their budgets were just whoever did them for the week, and
So all sorts of design inputs.
Oh.
These are pretty precious though, aren't they?
Yeah.
Absolutely one-off, irreplaceable gems.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But trying for the hat trick.
So 88, the last year at Port Neill.
Yeah, this is the year I coached. And
how'd you come to coach?
Well, Heinzie, he moved. No, he didn't. No, he gave up. He retired from footy. He and Mike Freeman both bloody retired from footy at the same time. Mick Freeman's half-back flanker. His father won a bloody male medal years and years ago, if I remember rightly.
Michael Freeman, yeah, Evan's uncle. He's played in 3, was it?
4.
4?
Three, didn't play the last
Did you
one.
retire the last one?
That was at number 6.
Yep.
Heinzie said, no, he's had enough. And anyway, so I put my hand up and got the job. Very lucky, and I keep saying that with Horny the first year down here as a coach, Heinzie to, I suppose, instill a lot into the players that were already there as well. We picked up 1 or 2 other pretty handy players, if I remember rightly. What does it say? I do a replacement for both past coach Bruce Hines, took the club into 3 grand finals.
An ideal replacement.
Yeah, apparently. But it was weird, you know, all of a sudden you've got the helm and the reins of it. And
big shoes.
Yeah, bloody oath, especially after the previous 4 years.
Yeah, you didn't want to fail.
No, not particularly. I didn't like losing, that's for sure.
At the completion of the first round, this was the story. A grade, Peter Prime, Port Neill, 29, Chris Prime, 23.
At the end of the which round?
At the completion of the first round in 1988.
So after 4 games?
Yeah. I don't think, the strength of Port's forward line was evident with Peter Prime and Michael Perkins kicking 9 goals each, and C Prime and B Bear 8 goals each.
This year especially, we got to a grand final with pretty much not a great deal different from the previous year. Other clubs have picked up a few, lost a few type thing, but...
And a lot of the players retired after 1998. I don't think Peter played for Arno at all, did he? He played
I think
B
he
grade.
did. No, he...
Did he?
He played A grade, I think.
But Chris...
Port wouldn't have had a B grade or a Colt had they gone on. They were, you know, so lucky in numbers. So we were lucky to win that last premiership. Really.
Yeah.